Welcome back to A Moment in History. I'm Seth Udinsky. At the end of the 1920s, America was on top of the world. Fresh off of victory in the Great War and a decade of prosperity, the United States was looking to enter into a new age of exceptionalism. In 1928, a popular Republican of great repute was voted into the presidency. But when the stock market crashed in 1929, sending the world into the Great Depression, this man became public enemy number one from the many of those who suffered as the scapegoat of the crisis. He is the 31st President of the United States, Herbert Hoover. Now, Hoover's legacy has fallen victim to the time in which he lived. While he presided over the nation during the horrific crash of 1929 and was largely blamed for it, he actually led a prodigious life of public service both before and after his time in the White House. He was born in 1874 in Iowa. Now, Hoover would enter the political scene as a young man and would rise in the ranks for his vast record of public service, particularly on the international level. He would do considerable work in China during a chaotic time, by the way, in the history of China, as the empire was on the verge of collapse in the beginning of the 20th century. Now, at the start of the Great War, Hoover coordinated the evacuation of over 100,000 American citizens from danger in Europe as the pall of war was descending across the continent. Now, during the preceding presidential administrations of the 1920s, Hoover served in various high-level executive roles, and this was enough to earn him a bid in the 1928 race. With Calvin Coolidge bowing out voluntarily, the Republican seat was open and Hoover won the presidency. Now, with a country booming in confidence, the crash of 1929 was truly devastating. During the Great Depression in the decade that followed, 25% of all Americans would find themselves unemployed and many thousands would lose most or all of what money they had. Hoover did his best truly to hold things together, but his popularity was shattered and he lost the 1932 election to Democrat Franklin D. Roosevelt. Still, Hoover remained a prominent figure in politics. After World War II, he served under the administrations of both Harry Truman and Dwight D. Eisenhower. Hoover was an effective elder statesman in American politics during these critical post-war years as the nation tried to walk the tightrope of keeping relative global peace and also preventing the spread of communism under the Soviet Union. Hoover lived a very long life, dying in New York City in 1964 at the age of 90. Thanks so much for joining me once again for A Moment in History.